we're back for the second hour. You excited yet? You should be. Kay from Georgia is still with us. I think there was a follow-up to her last question. Let's see if I'm correct. Hey, welcome back, Kay. You are live. Come in, Kay. Hello, Kay. Are you still there? Hello, Kay. Come in, Kay. Maybe Kay is not there. Let's put her on hold for just a second and go talk to Todd in Portland, Oregon, calling about Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It's been a long time since I've heard those three words in the same sentence. Hey, Todd, thanks for waiting. You are live.
Peter Glidden, thanks for taking my call.
What's up?
Ran into a friend of mine yesterday, and it looked like he was paralyzed on one side of his face. And so I said, what's going on? And he said, Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. And so I looked on the internet to find out what I could find out about Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. And, of course, I'm calling you to find out if you have any advice.
Well, the MD's Ramsay-Hunt was this doctor. He lived in the late 19th century, the earliest 20th century. And Ramsay-Hunt, I think, he came up with 3 different illnesses that he gave his name to. This particular one is probably Ramsay-Hunt 2, which is an infection, presumptively. It's a presumptive viral infection of a part of the brain with the same virus that causes herpes, right? It's the herpes virus coming out in your brain instead of on your skin, presumptively. Now, I am not sure what the diagnostic parameters are that need to be present in order for you to definitively diagnose this, right? Another common cause of paralysis on one side of the face is simple Bell's palsy. Another common cause of paralysis on one side of the face is a simple stroke. So, maybe this is definitive, maybe it's not, but just because some MD somewhere said, it's Ramsay-Hunt, doesn't necessarily mean that it's so, but the game is afoot in any case because he's got strong and persistent symptoms, right? So, because we bring to the table a holistic view, we can have all of the bases covered because, remember, we don't treat diseases. Neither do MDs. MDs name diseases, but they don't treat them. They're clueless about what to do, right? They can name stuff until the cows come home, like Ramsay-Hunt did. I named 3 different diseases, but had no idea what to do to fix them. So in any event, if it is an infectious disease of the brain, then we support and promote the structure and function of the immune system to help fight disease, and we do that with the killer biotic. The recommendation for an acute infection is 6 killer biotic a day if you're between 50 and 100 pounds, 9 killer biotic a day if you're between 100 and 150 pounds, and 12 killer biotic a day if you're over 150 pounds. So that would be 4, 4, and 4. It's best to take the killer biotic with food because it's a pretty strong herb which doesn't sit well on an empty stomach. So I would take the killer biotic with food, and there's no problem with the whole phytate thing there because it's an herbal formulation, not a mineral formulation. So we bolster the immune system with the killer biotic. That's not a bad idea. Of course, another thing that we can do to bolster the immune system is while we're in the throes of the symptoms of the infection, just avoid anything that's got sugar in it or anything that's sweet, because too much sugar in the blood at any moment in time weakens the immune system. There's a little part of the immune system, it's like little Miss Pac-Man, it's called a macrophage. And one of the jobs of the macrophage is to eat up foreign invaders. And when there's too much sugar in the blood, remember, sugar is your friend, it's not your enemy. Your chromosomes are made from sugar. Sugar is the gasoline of the body. The problem isn't sugar, but how much is there and how much your body is metabolizing at any moment in time. Most people in the U.S. eat way too much sugar, and if there's too much sugar in the blood, it can put that little macrophage, that little Miss Pac-Man, to sleep. It puts it to sleep. It deactivates it kind of sort of which gives the virus or the bacteria or whatever is in there a little more time to feed and breed, and that's never a good idea. So reduce any extracurricular sugars, and I mean anything, man. I mean like no orange juice, right? No dried fruit, no honey, no agave, no maple syrup. I would even avoid alcohol, for goodness sake, because your body turns that into sugar. Number three, of course, everybody's got to eliminate the 10 bad foods. That's just a given. All right, so by eliminating sugar and doing the killer biotic, we've augmented the immune system. Oh, and the third thing there is eat more protein, because the immune system is made from protein. So this is why chicken soup is called the Jewish antibiotic, because it's a really easy to absorb protein, and your immune system is made from protein. So whenever you're fighting any infection, eating more absorbable protein is a really smart idea. So, all right, so now we've got the immune system covered. The next thing to think of is, well, maybe it's Bell's palsy. Oh, wow, what if it's Bell's palsy? What causes that? Well, the most common cause from our point of view is osteoporosis of the skull. There's a little nerve that goes to the facial muscles. It comes through a little canal in the skull, and if that canal gets clogged with connective tissue, it can compromise the nerve, and if it compromises the nerve, the facial muscles can become compromised. Well, what causes that little canal to become congested with connective tissue? Not enough bone minerals in the skull. It's osteoporosis of the skull, interestingly enough. So in order to cover those bases, the recommendation would be the Healthy Start Pack and selenium, appropriate for body weight, plus 1 extra bottle of calcium a month and glucogel sufficient to the cause. And you know how we dose glucogel, right? It's 1 cap per 10 pounds per day. So give him enough glucogel, give him extra calcium, and the Healthy Start Pack. Now, the third cause of this is a stroke. And if it's a stroke, then research clearly indicates that people who've suffered from a stroke recover in half the time of other people if they augment their diet with selenium. So we've already got the selenium basis covered, right? So the recommendation here for kind of a comprehensive overall support program for this guy would be the Healthy Start Pack, 1 Healthy Start and 2 selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 extra bottle of white liquid calcium a month, the Killer Biotic, appropriate for body weight. And, you know, it's never a bad idea to give extra essential fatty acids, because if it was a stroke, then the main reason that people get strokes is because there's not enough essential fatty acids in their diet. So I'm going to amend my recommendation. Instead of the Healthy Start Pack, give him the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, because that's got the extra essential fatty acids in it. So the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, selenium, extra calcium, glucogel, and Killer Biotic. Clean up his diet. And then you've got all of your bases covered. And he should get better. This is going to be a tricky thing, because the only way you'd be able to know whether this program worked or not is if you could clone the guy and, you know, have one of his clones do nothing and have the other clone do the nutrition support program and see which clone gets better first, right?
Right.
So, but also remember, and this is something that's very easy to overlook, that, you know, when there's something this serious going on in somebody's body, then that's a strong and persistent symptom. Same thing happened to me, by the way. In the 80s, I had facial paralysis on one side of my face for 4 months. This was way before I knew anything about what I know now. I had a spinal tap, and I had the whole 9 yards. They still couldn't diagnose what the cause of it was. But my point is, there's always other stuff going on. So if you can convince him to do this program, in addition to having him pay attention to, of course, what happens to the facial paralysis, have him pay attention to what happens to his mood, his energy, his appetite, his sleep, you know, everything, because it's a holistic program, not just a facial paralysis program, right? And also, I wish somebody had told me this when this was going on. He should be doing actively, he should be massaging actively the muscles of his face, on the side of his face that's paralyzed, 2 or 3 times a day for 10 minutes at a time. So when he's hanging out doing nothing, watching TV or reading the paper or whatever, 2-3 times a day, he should be vigorously massaging those muscles in his face, because if he doesn't, when the nerve function comes back, those muscles are going to be smaller and a little more atrophied than the rest of his face. That's what happened to me. Now, when I get really, really tired, when I'm like burning the candle at both ends and I'm overdoing it, you can see it just by looking at me that one side of my face is it's not symmetrical, and it's the side of the face that was paralyzed for 4 months because I wasn't doing anything actively to the muscles while the face was paralyzed. So if he massages his face, gets on board with the medical nutrition program, he stands a really good chance of getting over this much faster and much better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Todd, man, you're the greatest up there in Portlandia. Keep up the good work, man. Your community really, really needs you, and let's make 2014 an unforgettable year. Merry Christmas, man. All right, well, this is how we do it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, one person at a time, one body-mind at a time, a couple of data bytes of information at a time. Because knowledge is power, and people don't know anything. I mean, did you know that sugar will depress your immune system if you're sick? Did you know that orange juice is one of the worst things you can do if you're sick? Did you know that? Did you know why chicken soup is such a good thing to do when you're sick? Well, now you do. And now, if you didn't know these things, think about how many other things there are that you're completely out of the loop for. And this is why a subscription to my online health recovery program is the most awesome Christmas present. Check it out. Become an insider at fireyourmdnow.com. Going to Oregon when we come back to talk to Mary. Stick around. It's the afternoon of the Pacific Northwest here on Fire Your MD. We're staying up in Oregon. Going to see what Mary's up to. Hey, Mary. Thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Hi, sorry I tried to cram so much in last time I called you, but I knew it would be a long time before I could call again. Today I'm
welcome
calling.
Back. What's on your mind?
Today I'm calling because you and I had an excellent consultation last April, and you knew that I was salting like Dr. Wallach wanted me to salt, but you also suggested that for a few days, because I have so many GI problems, you suggested for a few days that I should oversalt my foods. And so I did that. But I got to thinking, if I put them in gelatin capsules, the empty gelatin capsules, put the salt in that instead, it might make my food taste better and yet still achieve the same result. So what do you think?
Well, it wouldn't do anything to the taste because you can't taste the salt. The only reason that salt makes food taste different is if you get the salt granules on the taste buds on your tongue. So if you're negating that step by putting the salt in the capsule, the salt's getting in your stomach, which is a good thing because it's the stomach really that needs it. So you can try it. Now, you can overdo it with salt. You can overdo it with anything. It's real easy to overdo it with prescription medications, of course. Prescription medications are the leading cause of death in the United States because people overdo it with meds all the time. So you can, in fact, overdo it with salt, but really the only way to know is to do it and see what happens. Because remember, one of the good things about medical nutrition, especially when we're intervening with the digestive tract, is within 3, 4, 5 days of changing up your program, you're going to know whether it's going to be effective. And, depending on your age and your body weight and the too many variables really to predict, you may know in 24 hours. I mean, I've seen people respond to medical nutrition the very first time that they take it. They feel better. The very first dose, they feel a difference. So I'm certainly open to that as an experiment, but just keep in mind just because you're masking the taste mean that, that you can overdo it with salt. So you just want to, it's hard. It's really hard to overdo it with salt. But just keep a bird's eye out for that and see how you feel, and then your body will let you know what's going on.
Great.
So how are you doing, and what has gotten better, and what's hanging fire?
Well, I do all the 90 essential nutrients, and of course I sleep like a baby, and just all the benefits. You can't think of them when it's time to say what they are, because when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, I know. That's a funny thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But you're happy with your experience of longevity so far?
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
and
yeah.
Has it made a little bit of a difference in your life, a medium-sized difference in your life, or a big difference in your life?
Major difference.
Well, even better.
Yeah, I run circles around everybody in my family. We got the holidays coming up, so who's the one that's going to be doing the most, and who's the one that's going to be the oldest one there? Me.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, and it's funny, because especially in my life, it's getting better. It's getting better, but my family of origin, when I'm around my family of origin over the holidays, which, we tend to go back home right during the holidays, it's been very frustrating for me in the past because nobody listens to me. They might listen to me and they might, they're not going to challenge what I have to say, but they're not going to do it either. It's a handful of my siblings that are going to actually follow through with my recommendations, but it's difficult watching people in your life just kind of go down the tubes. And I know what's the problem. I know how to fix it, but they're not going to listen to me. It's frustrating. It's a difficult position to be in. But, what else are you going to do, right? There's nothing else to do except try to prove by example. And maybe, by hook or by crook, they'll see the light.
Yeah, I'm in the same position.
Yeah.
The relatives don't listen.
Yeah, well, you can buy a life insurance policy on them, and then when they die, you'll collect, and then you will become the emperor of the empress of all of Oregon. And just keep a little place on the coast for Dr. Glidden. Keep up the good work, Mary. You are the last best hope your friends, family members, church members, and community members have for a long, healthy, wealthy life. Keep up the good work. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. It's the holidays. Are you ready? Stick around. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden here, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, a very happy holidays. Or, it's Monday again. I think Kay from Georgia is back. Let's see. Kay, are you still with me? Come on in. Kay. All right, Kay. All right, very good.
I'm so glad that you even asked me to come back, because Laura and I were still discussing some of the other things. And her question was, if she takes a lot of EFAs per day, we learned something new from you about the glucogel, so I wrote that down. But she's taking, for pain, she's taking about 4 EFAs every 4 hours, because she had eaten the bread, and it did subside the pain. But she was wondering, was that too much? And I was reading to her what you have on your FireYourMD.com about bad medicines, but I guess she can hear from you.
Okay, well, no, that's not too much. The EFA, especially the EFA Plus, has anti-inflammatory activity, right? Now, the only problem with taking too much EFAs, you could do it, but again, it's really hard, would be your blood gets too thin. What happens if your blood gets too thin? Well, you bump up against a door frame, or you lean on a tabletop too hard and too long, and the part of your skin that was, the pressure was on it, it starts to bruise easily. You bruise easily. Now, you see this with elderly people all the time because of the Coumadin that they're on. And, most people are on way too much Coumadin, and they bruise easily and they don't die. So, that's a strong prescriptive medical agent. So you really, really, really have to take a ton of EFAs for a long time to produce a problem. So she doesn't need to worry about it. As long as she does it, just for the short term, she can take EFAs every couple hours to manage the pain, no problem. Perhaps a better thing to do, I don't know that she has any on hand, because this isn't a supplement that most longevity people have in their pantry. It's the CM capsules. CM capsules. We've got the CM cream, which is part of the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. And the CM cream is an anti-inflammatory topical pain relief medication. It's really great. A couple of universities, I forget which ones, have done some pretty extensive studies of this stuff. It works over 90% of the time topically to reduce joint pain. Well, we've also got the same stuff in capsules that people can use if they have internally, if they're dealing with any type of pain anywhere in the body. So that's never a bad thing to have in the pantry or in the medicine cabinet in case you're dealing with some type of an acute manifestation of pain. But I've got no problem at all with accelerated EFA doses for a couple of days. No problem whatsoever.
Okay. Hey, I have another question.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Glidden. My sister-in-law has swelling just at her knees. And she's like 79 years old. And she's doing fine, but her knees, she said they stay swollen in her thighs. Just her knees and thighs, but she's not in any pain. She's just tired of them being big.
Well, I bet you 25 cents it's hard for her to fall asleep at night, or she has heartburn that comes and goes, or she gets Charlie horses or restless legs at night in bed. So ask her those questions. Ask her if it's hard to fall asleep, if she gets heartburn on and off, or if she gets restless legs or cramps or Charlie horses at night in bed. If she answers yes to any of those questions, then she's got mineral deficiencies, especially calcium and magnesium. So you can hook her up with...
I don't think she has any problems. She doesn't have hardly no pain. No pain. She just has this swelling.
Yeah, okay. So then, all right, so what I would do for people like this is give them the plant minerals. Just give her one bottle of the plant minerals and say, look, I want you to take 1 ounce of, give her the cherry mints because that tastes better. Give her 1 bottle of the cherry mints and say, look, I'd like you to take 1 bottle of this, or 1 ounce of this twice a day for 14 days, 1 ounce twice a day for 14 days, and then call me back and tell me how you feel. Because everybody is minerally deficient. And, people get used to feeling like crap because they forget what it was like to feel good. And most people, when they take the minerals into their body, little switches start to turn on that have been turned off for a long, long time. So when you're trying to convince people of the benefits of medical nutrition, people who say that there's nothing wrong with them, then give them the plant minerals for 14 days, 1 ounce twice a day. Keep your fingers crossed, and I'm going to bet you that they're going to come back and say, you know what, that stuff made me feel pretty good. I'd like some more. And then you have a foot in the door, and you can gain some leverage there. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, you're welcome so much. How are you guys doing down there in Georgia, by the way?
Oh, we're doing great.
Yeah,
we're doing great. We're doing phenomenal, especially with you being available.
Who's in your upline there? Who was it that brought you in? That's right. That's how I roll. Who brought you into Longevity?
Jim Rice brought me into Longevity through Julie, she's a subscriber.
Yeah.
Through Michael Banks, through Dr. Monique Vaughn, and then Andre Vaughn, world-class team.
Wow, you got to love Andre Vaughn, world-class team. It's been a long time since I've seen Andre. I should have him on the radio show. He's such a fireball. Maybe I'll kick off the new year, God willing, with an interview with Andre Vaughn. The more I think about that, the more I like the way that sounds. Kay, you're the greatest. Keep up the good work down there. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and it's only 2 days before Christmas, so if you're going to order stuff online, forget it, because you're not going to get it before Christmas. So if you're up against it and you need a gift for somebody, then I've got a solution. because you can have this immediately, buy people in your life a subscription to my online health recovery service, which at $20 a month, not even that, if you buy a year's subscription, is the best, most affordable health recovery program in the world. Because again, do your medical insurance premiums help with your health? Do they? No. You're wasting your money. So my recommendation, cancel your comprehensive medical insurance, buy catastrophic medical insurance instead to cover you. God, forbid that you have some type of trauma to your body, right? You're hit by a drunk driver, you fall down the stairs, slip on the ice, whatever, you're going to be covered because medical care in the United States is expensive. Just to take a ride in the ambulance, it's $500. Sometimes it's $1,000. Just to walk in the door at the emergency room, it's $1,000. So they're going to bankrupt you before you can say Jack Robinson. You got to be covered. You got to have your bases covered in the case of, an emergency, right? But if you cancel your comprehensive medical insurance and instead buy catastrophic medical insurance, the money that you save every month, you're already spending, you can use to get nutritional supplements. Get nutritional supplements, recover your health. That's real insurance. That's real insurance. And if everybody in the United States did that, if everybody in the United States followed our advice, well, we wouldn't have a healthcare crisis. We wouldn't have sickness to the biblical proportions that we have right now. People wouldn't be going bankrupt because of ridiculous bills from their medical providers. It would be completely different. Can you imagine what that world would look like? Can you imagine a world where high blood pressure was a rare thing? Can you imagine a world where obesity and arthritis were rare things? Can you imagine a world where everybody sleeps through the night and wakes up happy? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a world where everybody has enough money in the bank to be secure and safe and sleep through the night without having anxiety attacks about how they're going to make the next house payment? Can you imagine a world where everybody owned their house? The banks didn't own it, people did. Can you imagine a world where everybody owned their own car? Can you imagine a world where there were no more student loans because people were able to afford and pay for the education of their children with cold, hard cash? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being able to spend $5,000 a year on Christmas presents? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a world where everybody gets to go on vacation for 4, 5, 6 weeks a year? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a world where everybody is self-employed? Can you imagine a world where you don't have to work for some knucklehead boss for peanuts, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and then come home and have a second job just so you can keep food on the table? Can you imagine that type of a world? Well, there are thousands of people around the world who are manifesting and experiencing that type of a world right now. It's collectively called the Longevity Nation. And this is the skill set that we bring to the table. Is this some overnight pipe dream, money-making, medical miracle? No, it's not. What it is, new-fashioned, science-based, clinically verified, developed and delivered by physicians, medical nutrition, on top of a business model which supports the growth of entrepreneurial spirit, which encourages you to take your financial destiny into your own hands, to stop worrying and start creating. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Sick and tired of being sick and tired and broke? Well, we are the solution. We are the red pill. Pop out of the matrix now, right now. What are you waiting for? Become a longevity citizen. Become a longevity business builder. Become a longevity business owner. Get your health back. Get your wealth back. Let us teach you the simple system. Let us show you how to work your network marketing business. Let us teach you how to own your own business, how to treat it like a business, how to be successful with your own business. And how do you become successful with your own business? By helping as many people as you can to do the same. Your job is to make everybody in your life as healthy and as rich as is humanly possible. If that's your job, are you up for it? Thousands of people are, and hundreds of people have broken the $1 million mark with longevity. They've made over $1 million. There's over 200 people that have made multiple millions of dollars with longevity. And how did they do it? By showing their friends and family members, church members, and community members the wonders of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. We help other people, and the more you help other people, the more money you make, the more satisfied you are, the better your business is, the more legs it gets, and the deeper those roots grow. For goodness sake, it's time to take your financial destiny by the horns and control it. Instead of letting that bull run you down in the middle of the night, why don't you jump on its back and use the power to your own advantage? Ladies and gentlemen, Longevity Nation is calling. Are you ready to answer? FireYourMDNow.com. Click on the Join Longevity button, and let's march forward bravely into the future. Stick around. We're coming back to finish up today's show after these messages. Ready for Christmas, ladies and gentlemen? If you are of the persuasion, I hope that you are. Hope that you find this Christmas season fulfilling. Remember, when you're sitting around the gluten-free Christmas dinner, to give thanks for Dr. Wallach and the skill set that Dr. Wallach brings to the table. I'd like to thank everybody in my listening audience for the support that you've shown me this year. My radio show has grown in leaps and bounds in popularity. I don't think because of it had a little bit to do with me, but it had way much more to do with you, and you're helping me to spread this message, right? And we must be striking a nerve, because right now we are the fourth most listened to program on the Genesis Communication Network, and that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Very much more things, many more exciting things in store for us in 2014. Stay tuned. We're taking this radio show to a different level of user experience in 2014. We're going to be live video casting all of the time. Starting in February, we're going to be live video casting. Sometime this summer, God willing, the show is going to go to a 3-hour format. We're going to have more guests, more sound bites, more professional appearance, and just going to be a better, funnier, more well-rounded program, built, of course, on the foundation of science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition and knowledge, because that's what we are all about. That's what we are all about. And if I seem tall to you, if you enjoy the skill set that I bring to the table, well, it's because I'm standing on Dr. Wallach's shoulders. If I seem tall to you, it's because I am standing on Dr. Wallach's shoulders and the shoulders of longevity. Ted Anderson at the Genesis Communication Network gave me a chance. That never would have happened without longevity. Dr. Wallach, in his wisdom, decided to set longevity up years and years ago as a networked business. Had it not been for that move, I would know nothing about longevity. Dr. Wallach approached me 5 years ago at a naturopathic medical conference and enrolled me in the possibilities of helping thousands of people a month instead of 10 or 20 or 30 people a month, which I had previously been doing in my private practice. Because, right, when you're working patient to patient, one at a time, there's only so many people you can talk to in a day, and have a good experience with. We're not like an MD who spends 2 minutes with their patients, and the rest of the time it's with the nurses and the lab techs. 2 minutes with the doctor can see 500 people in one day. It's not like that. With naturopathy, it's, an hour and a half for the first visit and 45 minutes for follow-up. There's only so many people you can help in the course of 1 year. Well, I have far exceeded my expectations with being able to help people. And that's really what drives real doctors. I don't actually know how many real doctors there are left in the world, but I'm one of them. Dr. Wallach is one of them, and he's at the top of the heap. Because, the reason that people should get into medicine is because they want to help people. Remember the old Hippocratic Oath? First, to do no harm. Well, if we held your MD's feet to those coals, they would burn right off. We actually adhere to the Hippocratic Oath. First, to do no harm. And it is the physician's duty to help their patients eliminate their symptoms completely and effectively, and bring the system back into a state of homeostasis and balance. And that's what we're about, ladies and gentlemen. Longevity exists to end human suffering. Does that sound grandiose? Well, you've heard the testimonials. You've seen what we're up to. I don't think we'll ever be able to accomplish that 100%. But even if we get 1% traction on that, it's a pretty good thing. It's a pretty good thing for all of the longevity listeners. You've heard the testimonials. The best is yet to come. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, wishing you all a very Merry, Merry Christmas. God willing, I'll be back in the saddle live Thursday, December 26th. Until then, live long and prosper.